Hey y'all, this is Big Ace from the Chi Town, Chi Town, Chi Town. Hey, I'm just sitting back. Sorry about the late update, but I've been watching this all day and doing different things, and had to bring this to you. It's gonna be late, but check this out. Shots has been fired, and it's definitely getting hot. So, whose side you on? The president or Omarosa? Me personally, I let the truth decide it all. So y'all about to hear it right here.
The feud between President Trump and Omarosa turning into a no-holds-barred back and forth. The Trump campaign filing an arbitration action against the former White House aide, alleging breach of a non-disclosure agreement. The president also taking aim at Omarosa on Twitter, writing, "When you give a crazed, crying lowlife a break and give her a job at the White House, I guess it just didn't work out. Good work by General Kelly for quickly firing that dog." Omarosa is responding with a new round of personal attacks against the president.
It's interesting that he's trying to silence me. So what is he trying to hide? What is he afraid of? If he hadn't said anything that was derogatory or demeaning to African Americans and women, why would he go to this extent to try to shut me down?
Should he be afraid of more tapes that you have in your possession?
I think he should be afraid of being exposed as the misogynist, the bigot, and the racist that he is.
You were instructed, according to your book, to bring up the emails at every point you could at the end of the 2016
That's
campaign.
correct.
Hillary Clinton's emails.
Yes, that was our talker.
Did Donald Trump know about those emails before they came out?
Absolutely. He is unfit to be in this office and to serve as the president of the United
Let's
States.
put up the... And Press Secretary...
Okay, let's stop it right here. Again, this is fair use, my people, fair use, my people. So listen, this is Fox News, the 5. She said he's unfit for office. Now, if he was still working there, would he still be unfit for office? Kind of suspect. Has he probably did some dirty stuff? Possibility. No doubt. But to say it's racist, he's a bigot, I don't know. But let's check out some more.
Secretary Sarah Sanders is rebutting Omarosa's claims. Watch.
I think the president is certainly voicing his frustration with the fact that this person has shown a complete lack of integrity, particularly by the actions following her time here at the White House.
Why did he hire her? I mean, why did he hire somebody he's describing as a dog?
Look, the president wanted to give her a chance, and he made clear when General Kelly came on, and he voiced concerns that this individual didn't have the best interests of the White House and the president and the country at heart. The president said, do what you can to get along, and if you can't, he gave him full authority to carry out the decision to let her go. This has absolutely nothing to do with race and everything to do with the president calling out someone's lack of integrity. The idea that you would only point a few of the things that the president has said negative about people that are minorities. The fact is the president's an equal opportunity person that calls things like he sees it. He always fights fire with fire, and he certainly doesn't hold back on doing that across the board.
So what's there?
Okay, that's interesting. Press secretary looking very nervous. Gotta say, it's definitely something that happened behind closed doors. She's looking like she just found out he might have had a kid with her, and ain't nobody knew about that. They gave her for adoption. I mean, she is shaking. And I gotta be real with you folks. Hey, this is hard-hitting investigating journalism here at its work. And please, if you want to join the Patreon or the PayPal, the link is in the description. Do what you do. Or you can just email me, vman2099@gmail.com. But I'm serious. Something about that's just not sitting right with me. Now, do I think he undone some shady stuff? Well, let's be honest, look at what happened to the Indians with the oil. Might have been a bad deal somewhere, But he was very smart. See, this is what you do when you're in power. This is why so many people don't understand. You need an emissary, somebody that go in between, or go between, because if you don't, he told General Kelly, if you don't like her, you fire her, to get the obligation out that the President of the United States fired a black woman that was on a reality show that probably never even had a chance of even being a politician, let alone this woman been fired from the Democrats and the Republicans. So to sum it up, I mean, sometimes you gotta, your wild cards, you gotta separate and, just believe at him from a distance. If he make it, it's great. If he don't, you gave him a shot, let it go. But this is very smart, and that's a smart move. I'm going to play probably tomorrow or later on today the part where she got fired at. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, and how they did it. But like I say, you gotta understand how these things work out. But let's see what the ladies say here.
Sarah Sanders was talking about is a series of tweets where the president has used similar language. I think we have a few of them if we could call them up. For example, Mitt Romney had his chance to beat a failed president, but he choked like a dog. Now he calls me a racist, but I am least racist person there is. Tweet number 2, Robert Pattinson should not take back Kristen Stewart. She cheated on him like a dog and will do it again. Just watch, he can do much better. And tweet number 3, I'm little at Macmillan. I'm now going to teach you a big boy lesson about lawsuits and finance, you ungrateful dog. But then to advance the story just a little bit, because this was what everyone is talking about, Omarosa makes a claim that the president was on tape saying the N-word. Now there's been back and forth of whether this ever existed. Take a listen to Sarah Sanders answering this question from a reporter.
Can you stand at the podium and guarantee the American people they'll never hear Donald Trump utter the N-word on a recording in any context?
I can't guarantee anything, but I can tell you that the president addressed this question directly. I can tell you that I've never heard it.
Okay, so here we are, day, 3.
All right. Now, again, this is fair use. I just want to say, this is getting outrageous. All these claims, and this is just like, I don't know, it's seeming like that Chad Warwick situation all over again. We gotta look at this and see what's going on. I mean, he called LeBron James uneducated. He's not a college graduate, so you gotta look at it hand in hand. Michael Jordan is a college graduate. Look it up. So, I mean, outside of basketball, LeBron James probably gets it all. But inside basketball, it's a Michael Jordan thing. Hey, shot town, baby. Let's get back to it, y'all.
Of the Omarosa Trump feud, it will end, everybody. It will end. But for now, this is hot in the news. And so, Jesse, let me go to you about how everybody's handling this.
Well, I think the media and Omarosa are perfect for each other. They both have very little credibility. They're both flip-floppers, and they both hate President Trump. I don't trust anything she says. She's a serial fabricator. She should never have been hired for her job at the White House. She belongs in reality TV as a villain. He should never have hired the villain because obviously she's a huge backstabber. Hours after she was fired, she gets on the phone and starts lying to her friends and former colleagues about why she was fired. She said she quit, and then hours after she's fired, she comes up with this tape where the president allegedly uses a racial slur. Out of the blue, funny, the same day she was fired, she starts talking about the tape that someone played her. When they asked the person who allegedly played the tape, he says, I don't have a tape. I've never even heard about a tape. Then she said, oh, Frank Luntz has heard the tape. Frank Luntz comes out, says, I don't know what you're talking about, Omarosa. I've never heard a tape. So she has zero credibility at this point. Trump says he didn't say it. At this point, you have to take him at his word. Mark Burnett, the producer for The Apprentice, allegedly told the president that there are no tapes that exist of him saying this word. Her history in the White House has been riddled with poor performance. Al Gore's office fired her for, I think she was in charge of correspondence, and it turns out they found like 80,000 letters under her desk that she never even sent back. And then they transferred over to the Clinton team and Commerce Secretary's office, and they had to get rid of her because she was an absolute personnel disaster. This is not a racial thing to call someone a dog. The list goes on and on. He's called Glenn Beck a dog, Ted Cruz, David Gregory, Ariana Huffington. And I think Sarah Sanders said the right thing today when she was confronted about the racial issue. She said, in 1.5 years, Donald Trump has created 700,000 jobs for African Americans in this country. And in 8 years, President Barack Obama had only created $195,000. I just let that speak for itself.
Juan, I'll give you the next word then.
Okay. One, you got a slick oil salesman here. He stumbled like 3 times. $195,000 compared to, let's see, 175,000 jobs. Depending on what the jobs are, I would definitely go. And see, that's what I'm saying. They've been getting these figures wrong, trying to inflate and deflate the situation. It's weird. It's crazy. But I agree with a lot of the things he was saying. And here's the funny thing. I looked it up. It's kind of true. I suggest y'all Google it. Or, do the best you can, find out. And go from there. But definitely credibility issues. And this is the thing, let's just say, for instance, it works out for the president, which would be fine, great. I'm working, I'm doing a good job, so, it's just weird, it's really weird. But they keep harping on that fact, and it brings into question different things, and sometimes, motherfucker make you mad, you just, you come off and you say the N-word, like I just said, and, you have to, he played it legitimately right, and we're about to see what this other guy finna say, which, let's check it out. I ain't really seen it.
Well, I just think that's pretty ridiculous. I mean, the fact is that what you see here is an economy that's been recovering, it's been steadily recovering. Black community still has twice the unemployment of the white community. Is he taking any steps to deal with that? Let's get to the dog thing, because I think that's kind of the top of the news today. This is so deeply offensive. I mean, it's one thing he's calling LeBron dumb. He goes after Don Lemon as dumb. He goes after black women. I can think of Frederica Wilson, Maxine Waters, Suzanne Rice, Donna Brazile. And now this thing, I just thought, I don't care of your race, but I just think to call a woman a dog in this way was so demeaning, so beneath the office of the presidency. I worry about just our kids. I mean, that you have to say, oh, that's the president. That's the way he talks about a woman that he disagrees with. On some level, I wonder, why is he engaging? Why would the president engage with this person? But then you realize, oh, in some of these tapes, like we thought this stuff about being fired in the White House Situation Room by John Kelly, who's going to believe that? But here comes the tape. Then with regard to the N-word, here comes, she says, people say, oh, no such tape. Then Katrina Pearson and others who were Trump aides say, we never had such a conversation with Omarosa. Omarosa produces a tape. I'm thinking, wow. So maybe there's something to it. You say she has no credibility. I would agree with you. I would have agreed with you a long time ago, Jesse. But she keeps producing tapes that, in fact, back up her story.
Kennedy, is the president, I guess, in somewhat...
Okay. Now, let's get this straight. He called Maxine Waters dumb. Well, let's look at the situation. Was the situation dumb? Or was she dumb? Did she act dumb in the situation? It's up to interpretation. I'll be honest. She is a black elderly woman, and I kind of miss my grandmother, so I'm going to say it and be honest and truthfully. Sometimes, when there's no husband around, they do kind of get a little bit rough around the edges, and from the outbursts I seen of the clip, I think she spoke out of turn. but she was serious about her vigor of argument. And sometimes you go too hard. You know, this is something totally new, and it's not like when you call a woman a dog, you're really substituting the word to call her a bitch. And sorry, you know, might not get monetization for this one, but you know, it's not really, you know, it's one of those things where you said it, but you didn't say it, you know, and it's implied heavily. And for her to have a $15,000 job, a month job, when, like he said, almost 2 times as many African Americans are not working compared to the white counterparts, you gotta ask yourself, you know, like, what's going on, you know? And but he did more. He's doing more already in a year and a half than Obama did, and I gotta give it to him, you know. I don't like the way he say things, but then again, you know, I didn't like how few people said things, you know, like Notorious B.I.G. You know, some of his lyrics and his raps, I didn't like it, but you know, you say it and you try to be clever, and basically he's saying, and this is just for plain English, he's calling her a female dog. And you know, if you ever raised dogs or you know the nature, sometimes when the female dog get in heat, they get a little bit more aggressive and, you know, unmanageable, unruly. And unfortunately, you know, with this situation, she's dropping tapes, but you know, you got a disclosure agreement, and like I say, it's gonna definitely be interesting. But I mean, anytime your reputation is attacked, you're supposed to attack. It's part of the 48 Rules of Power, the Art of War, any other book you want to read up on that politicians and everybody else use in the free world, and business and everything else. So, you know, keep that, you know, in the back of your mind. So, let's get back to it.
Paying the price for for being loyal to her, and he liked her apparently on The Apprentice. He liked her spunk. He liked it that she was a villain, that she would maybe churn things up and get things done.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you make a bad call.
She's one of those unstable people that we all have known, whether it's in your work life or your family life, and these are the people who hold situations hostage. And they always find a way to get in there, especially to the most powerful person who can usurp any of their enemies around them and right the wrongs that have been done before them. And so the president obviously is a loyal person. Look at some of the people that he's had on his campaign staff and some of the people that he's hired in the White House. Somewhat questionable, not all of them. Some of them are very good hires. But however, here, because it was only loyalty, that was the only connection that they had, because, you know, no one really knows what her area of expertise is. You know, we were all sitting around here before the show trying to figure out exactly what she did, even, you know, regardless of her title. And when someone who is loyal feels betrayed, that's when you see the kind of reaction that the president is displaying. I do think it's a distraction. I think the story would go away, and I think he would actually come off more sympathetic if he didn't engage her to this level, but he feels like he has to push some of these feuds to this level, and I think you'll see in the future, instead of background checks in the White House, they're going to give psych tests.
But Tyrus, what about the list that...
Okay. It's kind of, you know, I feel her on that thought, but, you know, like I say, this man made billions of dollars and lost billions of dollars. He also lost billions of dollars helping black people. So, you know, the race thing ain't really flying with me. I've been here during the 80s, so in Chicago during the 80s, watched them go bankrupt like Milton Hershey a bunch of times, get paid for selling his name, and branded himself, the original brand master himself. And man, look at him. You know, hey, he's a wild card. He calls it out, you know, and he always been doing that. So, you know, the race thing, he helped put his own, I don't want to say this, I can't say that, but let's go ahead and get back to the video.
Jesse had of all the other people that the president has called a dog.
Well,
and we backtrack for a second. I agree with Juan 100% in terms of the president should not be saying these things. It really is beneath him. When it comes to Omarosa, one, I will point out, she proved me right. She is a unifier. She brought me and Brian Steller from CNN together. He used my quote on the show on his thing. So wow, oil and water. She brought us together. But here's the thing about her. She is a bad human being. Her race and gender is irrelevant. She's a manipulative, evil, mean person. The things that she says, let's just say, we'll give it to her. Let's say our president is mildly racist, and when he gets mad, he says stereotypical things. You, who claim to be the African American watchdog for us in the White House, not only saw it go down, you did nothing about it, and you profited from it. And it wasn't until your poor work got you fired that you saw a problem, so you're trying to profit again. She's not a dog. She's not any other like that. She's a Tom. And that's way worse than anything else.
She's also known him longer. I mean, she's the one who's known him.
She could have stopped this
3 iterations
horrible man
of The Apprentice
by telling the truth.
Yeah, and throughout the campaign, I mean, she has known him the longest. So conceivably, if this was his true character, she's seen that character. She's been in the boardroom when the cameras.
No, I mean, you mean like during the campaign, and she'd be in the green rooms, or she'd be on not just at Fox, she'd be in other places on other networks, and we were supposed to take her at her word and take her seriously and have her on the show and to promote Donald Trump. And now you do have to pay a price for this. I do want to ask you this, Jesse. There is something to be said about starving a story, right? Like, ignore her, consider her irrelevant, just move on and talk about all the good things going on. But does the president, that's not in his nature to do that. He likes to counterpunch. But also, does he have some ability to discredit her further by being the one that's out there discrediting her?
Well, yesterday we talked about whether or not he should completely ignore her the way he ignored Eminem. And I don't think the president is capable of ignoring things when it reaches this level. When you have Omarosa on CNN and MSNBC and even the Sunday shows going out wall to wall like that, I think the president has to come back and has to come back hard. And when he comes back hard, yes, he will use the word dog and he will tweet about 5 or 6 things. But at the same time, I don't know if the story helps this president. There's a lot of other good things going on. I believe Germany is now blocked $400 million going to Iran. There's great things happening in North Korea with the remains coming back from our soldiers. And all we're talking about is this hysterical woman who's humiliating herself in front of our eyes, and we're feeding this frenzy about a tape that no one even knows exists and probably doesn't exist, and no one can prove. So she's just throwing stuff out there, and everyone's in a feeding frenzy.
That's why she keeps coming up with tapes. That's the problem.
She's not coming up with any tape, Juan. You have not heard her say a tape.
With 2 tapes.
There's no tape him using that word,
I didn't
Juan,
say
and that's
that.
the big
I don't
story.
know that. You don't know that, but she's come up.
She records everything. Why didn't she record when she heard that?
I don't know, but I'm telling you, she's come up with 2 tapes that people like you said, oh, this can't exist, this couldn't have happened, and it did happen.
I never said anything about what could or could not have happened. I do know what happened. She's not credible.
Jesse, you know who's not credible? You know who lacks credibility?
Who's that?
President Trump.
I think he has a lot of credibility because that's why people put him in office, Juan.
Yeah.
Well, why is
you know
she
what? How many times he said she was
credible?
fired 3 times, 4 times? You know who hired her 4 times?
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, he hires only the best people.
Only the best people.
This is what's wrong. We're fighting. We're all dumber for this conversation.
Absolutely.
We're arguing over something that she wants. Regardless if there's a tape or not tape, she's a worse person if there is a tape.
Well, I don't doubt that. I'm just saying, I don't give her any credibility, Tyrus. But isn't it interesting that all of us who doubt her keep coming back and saying, oh my God, she has a tape of this.
Well, I felt like he was